So you've picked up a couple of these, and you might be wondering what they are and where they go in the Tesla Model 3. Well, I'm Frugal Tesla Guy, and I'm not only going to tell you what these are, but where they go. So as part of the Tesla maintenance program, they recommend that you change your cabin air filter every 2 years. And if you have a HEPA air filter, every 3 years. Now these are the standard typical air filters, so these will need to be changed every 2 years. And if you start noticing a funky smell when you're using your AC or your heat, then it might be a good idea to change it maybe before that 2 years. So I got these on Amazon for about 25 bucks, and I'll be sure to post a link to these in the description below. You can find them for less, you can find them for a little bit more. If you buy them directly from Tesla, it's going to cost you about $35. So I saved about $10 getting these on Amazon, and quite honestly, they look the same. I don't know if they're exactly the same once we pull the old ones out. We'll see if they look much different. Now, if you want to spend about $100 on HEPA air filters, you can do that, and of course just go to Amazon and you'll find a few of those on there as well. And I'll of course be sure to post a couple of links to some that I've found but have never used, so you don't want to necessarily use my recommendation. But it might be a good start for you if you start shopping for a HEPA air filter. Again, you can change those typically every 3 years as recommended by Tesla. So when it comes to actually changing these and swapping them out, it is a little complicated, but we'll take a look at it and kind of guide you through it step by step. So kind of starting off with some perspective, I got a handheld light here so we can see better, but this is the center console, and this is the panel right here that we will be taking off. Now there's another panel we'll be taking off. Here's the glove box right here, and underneath it there are 4 clips. You can see them. The first one's here, another one there, that's 2, 3, and then a 4th one over there. So I think what will be easiest, because we can fit our hand and our fingers through that gap up here, but to pull it out may be a little difficult. So I think it'll be best and easiest to take this panel off here first. So let's get right to that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with the 3 clips that are on the right side as you're looking out the front windshield, and we're kind of underneath here. We're looking at the right side. So you've got these clips, and there's basically in these clips, there's a little place for you to put your thumbnail or your fingernail, whatever, and you can just kind of get a grab of that and just kind of pull it down. You pull that all the way down. You can see there's one there. There's one right here. And they actually just pull all the way out. So I'm going to put these somewhere for safekeeping. That one didn't pull all the way out. And then we got one right over here. Pull this one out. Perfect. And then we'll go over here and we will do the same thing and pull this one out as well. See if we can find that. There we go. Pull that out. Beautiful. Okay, so once again, we're looking from the front, and we need to figure out a place where we can grab to kind of pull this down. So on the kind of right in the back here, you'll notice there's a kind of a square opening right here. You can take your fingers in there, just kind of pull it down. And what that will do is allow more access to kind of pull more spots here. So we'll pull that here. There you go. Don't be afraid to pull it out. I mean, there is a chance you could break the clip, but not too terribly concerned about it. Let's get more light over here. So we just kind of work our way from pulling it out. I mean, you still want to be careful. And it looks like there's a spot right here that you can kind of pull down. There we go. That took a clip out. Let me make sure I didn't forget any clips. And it doesn't, yeah, there's, oh, right over here, there's another spot for you to, oops, there goes the light, pardon me. Kind of pull that. It doesn't seem to want to pull all the way down. Okay, here we go. Another spot for me to pull down. There we go. You just have to kind of force it a little bit. There we go. All right, so now that we've got that out, there's a speaker right here, and there's where the light is right here as well. Now, the easiest thing to do, Let's see if we can kind of pull this aside instead of disconnecting them. I like to try to not disconnect things if I don't have to, just because you just don't want to mess around with the wires. So I'm going to kind of put this to the side right here, and I think that should be okay right there. All right, so what I'm going to do now is, now that I have better access, you can kind of see right up in there. You can get your fingers in there. So let me see how that goes here. And we're doing this for the first time together, by the way. So there we go. So able to pull that. Now we're going to go ahead and pull this out on this side. Make sure I have all the clips in safe places. I don't want to lose any of them. Put them on the seat. No, I'm going to put them in the cup holder. All right. Pull this out. And it really is kind of scary because they're in there pretty tight, and you don't want to break any clips, but if it happens, you can always get replacements if you have to. All right. So we got that panel. I'm going to go ahead and take this panel all the way out. This doesn't have any wires attached to it. Just going to place it on the side here. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got right here. What we want to do is we want to see this little orange cable. We want to move this out of the way as well. So it's kind of connected with some clips. Kind of see a clip right there. And there's another clip. Let me show you right here. Another clip right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that clip out as well. Don't want to force too much, but we'll see about that. Okay, so a couple of notes before we move forward here. First and foremost, this panel here, the upper panel that's up here, I did disconnect the speaker, and the reason I did that is because you really need as much space back here as you can. So I was able to kind of just take that one off and just kind of rest it over here, and that should be okay. The light's still connected, which is okay. And over here, this orange cable, remember I was having trouble trying to get this clip off? I was able to force it. I really had no choice, but I forced it. It felt like it broke, but it didn't, which is good. There's another clip up there that I took off. And this one, you just want to tuck up as high as you can up in here. So you kind of see where I'm tucking it up. You kind of tuck it up there. Just want it out of the way, because what you're looking for at this point, let me move this cable, is you are looking for right here. So I accidentally hit the lock button on my camera here. So that turned everything off. So let's kind of continue here. So what we're trying to get to is this panel right here. This panel right here is where the cabin air filters are. Now, in order to get this panel off, we need to get to this screw right there. Now, I'm having to get this camera up in here so you can guess how difficult it's going to be to get a screwdriver up in there as well. So we're going to need a special tool for that. So let's take a look at that and see how we can get this screw out. So as you can see, it's way tucked up in there, and it'd be really difficult to take your regular size screwdriver to get up in there, because you wouldn't be able to really fit it up in there to get to the screw. So what I've got is this. I don't know exactly what it's called, and there are other tools that you might be able to use, but this is the only one that I have. And this one, what it does, it allows me to kind of turn it in all different directions. And then right down here, you've got a cable within this blue part, and that allows me to take this and spin it, which then allows me to unscrew it. So if you look closely, you'll see how when I turn that handle, that spins it in the direction that I need. So again, this is the only tool I have. I think this should work. We'll see if we can't get that up in there and then unscrew this. So you can see the screw. It's right there, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and get my screwdriver in here, or my Torx bit. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get that in there. Now I have to kind of Keep in mind too, I'm trying not to bump the camera or anything like that, so it's a little bit more tricky for me to do this, but I want to make sure you can kind of see what I'm doing here. All right, let's see if we can do this. There we go. There we go. Boy, this is really a handy tool, I tell you what. It really makes this a lot easier. I think I got it. Nope, not yet. I think, there we go. And now I want to grab it with my thumb so I don't drop it. All right. There we go. So, there it is. I was able to get that thing out. All right, let's go to the next step. All right, so the next step is to just grab where the screw was up in there. Gonna look right in there. Kind of see that just pulls out. Pull that out. And this is the part right here. So that's the piece that we end up pulling out, and if you look closely, there you can see the air filters. So I'm going to put this in wide angle here so you can kind of see better. Right here. All right, so you want to lift up. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Up here. Here's the first one. So the first one, there's a clip or a little thing you can pull, right? Just go and pull that out. Now notice it's yellow facing us, so when we're putting them back in, we want to make sure we put them in the right way. There you go, just pull that out. There's filter number one. And then this one, it's kind of tucked down in there, so you need to pull it all the way up and then out. And this one also is yellow facing us, so we want to make sure we put them in the same way. Okay, so there you go. There are the filters. And it actually doesn't look that bad, but we'll take a look and compare it to the new ones. So here are the ones I just took out. You can see they've got all the markings on there. You've got the Tesla logo, the part number, you've got, it says it's made in Germany. Now these are the ones that you can purchase directly from Tesla, typically at a service center. And they're about 35 bucks. And it's for the two of them. It's $35 for both. That's what it's going to cost you. $35 total plus tax, obviously. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this, compare the two. These are the originals. They're very dirty. These are the new ones, obviously very clean. Now these are not directly from Tesla. I paid $25 for these on Amazon. And you can see there's no marking on them to indicate that they're for Tesla or made by Tesla or anything of that nature. But they have all of the same characteristics. They've got the tabs here, and in fact we'll take a look and see how they do with the size. I'm going to put it right on top there, and it looks like they are the same size. I mean, you can kind of just see right here. Let's put it right on top. Right on top there, and you can see same size this way as well. And over here. So I'm not concerned about these being too big or too small. They should fit in there just fine. So let's go ahead and put these in, and then we will put everything back together. Okay, we are back in the car, and we're going to go ahead and show you there's where the slot is. We're going to be putting them. So I've got the yellow facing us. You've got the tab right here. So let's just go ahead and slide that right on in there. And it just drops right down. Okay, we'll take the next one. Same thing. What I want to do is just make sure that this tab is underneath it. But other than that, it should be okay. Put that right in there. Put that in and boom. Okay. So those went in there just fine. Take a closer look. There you can see they're in there. That tab, as you can kind of see right here, if you look closely, there's a tab there. So when we're putting that panel back on, we'll have to kind of make sure that that kind of holds that down. But they're in, they're ready to go. Now it's time to reassemble the car. All right, before we get started, I just want to show you how this thing locks into place. So there is, if you look right here, there's kind of a notch, okay? And at the bottom of this, there's a notch as well. Now, in order to make sure that it doesn't come out, what I do is I kind of slide it down into that notch, and now it's locked into place. I can't pull this out. The only way I can get this thing out now is if I lift up and then pull it out. So it slides down into that notch. All right, so once again, I'm putting it back into that notch right there. Then I have to also make sure that the flap for the air filter is down so it can get into the hole. There we go. And looks like everything's good. Just kind of get it started with my fingers here. Make sure that's in there. Yep, that is. Okay, so now, get that light up in there. And it's in there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get everything else back into place. Okay, so now we gotta get this orange cable back into place. So we got this first clip up here, which will clip. And you definitely want to make sure that these are clipped in. You don't want to skip this step because what will happen is it'll start rattling around. You don't want things rattling around in here. It should clip. Oh, there it is. There we go. So I got these two clips back on right here. There's another one right here, and this one's actually just kind of goes in like that. That's all you need to do. That one's pretty simple. Okay, let's get this panel back in here. So this is going to be that side that goes up in here. See how tricky this is, or how not tricky. You want to line everything up and make sure it gets underneath. Well, actually, there's not really a lip, so it should just kind of slide under there. Yeah, it just kind of pushes it back in place. You're gonna have to really just kind of force it, kind of push it back in there, because there we go. Just kind of use your palm and really dig in there. Same thing here. You really have to kind of just kind of push it in there. So it looks like everything's back into place. And you got your side panel back on. Now let's get to underneath the glove box. All right, so as you recall, I did have to unplug. I ended up unplugging the speaker wire, so we're just gonna go ahead and plug that back in. Clicks right in there. Okay, so I found it was kind of difficult to line everything up, but then what I discovered is that this piece, so we're kind of looking back here, this is looking at the front. You can see on the left side near the speaker is this piece right here. Now this, what it does is if you look up here, we'll move that out of the way, kind of hard to get to. You see, oh, there it is. It slides onto this right here. Once you slide it onto there, everything will line up perfectly and you should be able to get everything in. So let me go and get that in, and then we'll kind of show you how everything snaps into place. So now I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get that in there. And you can kind of get your fingers in there, kind of feel around. But it looks like that's it. Yep. All right, so I'm not holding it up with anything at this point. And now I just have to make sure everything's lined up the way it needs to be lined up. Okay, got that right piece in. Well, after seeing these, I'm really glad that I replaced them. And boy, they really did end up being pretty dirty. And even just throwing it on the floor there, a lot of dust just kind of fell out of it. So it certainly was time. So as you can see, not the easiest process. This is something that is going to require a bit of time and patience. Taking everything off of the side panels, you don't really have to worry too much about breaking those pins, but it certainly can happen. I'd have to say some of the biggest challenges were getting that screw out. That certainly is in a position that it's difficult to get to with your typical screwdriver. So you're going to want to make sure that you have the proper tools to get that out. Now, as far as putting everything back together, also not a major issue, but again, time and patience. Getting that side panel on wasn't too difficult once everything lined up. You did kind of really have to force it back in there to get it nice and tight. And getting the panel underneath the glove box, once I figured out what I was telling you about in the upper left-hand corner, kind of sliding it into that one piece in the upper left-hand corner, once you slide that into place, then everything lines up much easier. Before that, I had a hard time kind of figuring out how to get everything lined up. So once again, sliding that piece in the upper left-hand corner, that's the trick to get everything lined up just right. And once you do that, those tabs will snap right in. So there you have it, changing the cabin air filter for the Tesla Model 3. Once again, not the easiest thing, but definitely worth it, because I'm sure it would cost a lot more to have someone do it for you professionally, say at a Tesla service center. So thank you all so much for watching. If you found this video to be useful, be sure to give it a thumbs or a like. And if you'd like to help support this channel and want to continue to see more of my videos in the future, you can subscribe to my channel. So thank you all again so much for watching, and stay positively charged.